Major sell-offs are happening right now in all the financial markets. There is a so-called run for cash, but there is also good news, and that is for crypto actually. So in this video, we're going to talk about that. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back here at Coin Compass. In this video, we're going to talk about the major sell-off that is currently happening in all financial markets, of course, due to the tariffs that President Trump last week announced, and also the trade war that is getting more and more intense with China. But there's also good news, and that is for crypto and some other assets. And that is also what we're going to make the comparison for and make the case for. So, very interesting video, make sure to watch it. All right, guys, let's start with having a look here at this post that I just did. Basically, it sums quite up what is happening right now. So typically when equities sell off, investors seek safety in government bonds. This flight to safety pushes the bond prices up and the yields down. But that is not happening right now. So the yields are rising, as you can see right here, while stocks are falling. That means that investors aren't moving into bonds either. They're pulling money out of everything. So-called run for liquidity or flight for safety, whatever you want to call it. So what's happening right now is a so-called run for cash. When both equities and bonds are sold off simultaneously, it often points to a broader financial strain beneath the surface. And it all points to one inevitable conclusion. The system is screaming for more liquidity, so central banks will be forced to respond to what is happening right now. In other words, QE, quantitative easing. So in other words, money printing will come. Liquidity needs to be injected into the system right now. And this is, by the way, already announced by some countries such as Japan, so that the central banks will intervene and inject more liquidity into the system. So not a good look on the US 10-year note bond yield. We see that it's went up from 3.9% to actually 10% higher in just a matter of days. So let's start with having a look at the stocks. The stocks are a very important one that I want to point out here. They're trading like absolute shitcoin, guys. I mean, look at the weekly here, the S&P 500 or the US 500 down 12%. And actually, I'm not going over everything, but you can see that most of the major indexes are down double digits in just a week of time. That is really an insane sell-off that we're currently seeing. This is, of course, because of the uncertainty in the market. What is going to be the effect of the tariffs that President Donald Trump put on other countries? So the markets are really in panic. Nobody really knows what's happening. We can also see that even with the opinions of all kinds of experts and economists, they all say something else. So some people think it will not be that bad. Some people talking about recession, some people talking about global financial crisis, and all sorts of other things. So nobody really knows what's going to happen. But the fact is that financial markets don't like the uncertainty, and that's why we see a huge sell-off. So yeah, stocks down double digits. All the major indexes, or nearly all the major indexes, are down double digits in the last 7 days. Now, if we have a look at crypto, we see that Bitcoin in the last 7 days is only down 8%. That is actually a lot better than the stock market. So you would think, okay, risk assets such as Bitcoin, they will sell off harder than stocks. We saw that happening, for example, in the last major sell-off, which was during the Corona crisis. So in March 2020, we saw stocks going down, but we saw Bitcoin going down even more, which is not the case right now. And that's a very interesting development because currently everything is selling off. That's true. But look at the ones that are selling off less. And Bitcoin is one of them. It's down 7.9%. So let's say 8%. That is actually 4% less than the S&P 500. If we're having a look at gold as well, I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to tell you, gold is down 2% in the past 7 days. So even in economic uncertain times, normally gold performs very well. But during that first initial stage, gold will also see a sell-off. And that is also what we're seeing right now. So gold down 2% in the past 7 days, bouncing back very well today, by the way, but we see that everything is selling off right now. Now, let's go back at the 10-year yield of the US Treasury. It was at 3.9% just 2 days ago. So in 2 days' time, the 10-year yield for the US Treasury is actually up 10%. That is really insane. So what we're seeing happening is very, very different to what we saw happening in previous sell-offs, where normally, again, stocks sell off, risks as well, of course, in the initial stage, maybe afterwards they go back up. But normally the bond prices go up then and the yields go down. Now yields are going up tremendously as well. So what could this mean? Either someone is forced to sell like a huge amount of these, or it might just be China. And maybe China wants to put pressure on the US by selling off their US Treasury notes. So that is what we're seeing right now. And it's actually pretty scary, let's say. Hopefully this will stop soon, or otherwise the Federal Reserve in the US will need to intervene. We don't know yet how they will do that, but it will eventually mean by QE, by quantitative easing, by putting more money into the system. Now let's have a look at Bitcoin, because we talked about Bitcoin selling off less than actually other risks assets and even than stocks and so on. So we see that Bitcoin is currently trading at 77.7K. Now we see that it's not doing very well. It has been in some downtrend for some time. Since the 19th of January, we see lower highs. So we see 3 lower highs here, and we see lower lows. So here lower low, here lower low, and currently we are forming the 3rd lower low. Where this will stop, we don't know before a bounce up. But I think a really interesting level to watch is this one, the 72K level. So it might potentially be something like this that Bitcoin will do, and then here put another lower low. And I think from that point onwards, if the panic is over in the markets, then the assets that are doing better than stocks and are actually a potential hedge against stocks, such as gold, such as potentially Bitcoin, might just as well just bounce up from there. Now we don't know for sure, obviously, but it's a level that I am currently watching, the 72K level. I don't think we will bounce here. It's a bit in the middle of nowhere, so it would surprise me if we turn around and go back to 87K. So I think it's more likely that we sell off up to this level where there's a lot of liquidity waiting to enter the market. So this should be a very, very strong level. Now, if we have a look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's also something that I want to point out. It is still in this upwards channel, and this upwards channel is already in place since March 2023. So over 2 years, Bitcoin dominance already rising and moving within this channel. This is of course like a fake out here, so don't pay attention to that. But if we have a look to altcoins, of course Bitcoin dominance indicates that Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins even to the downside. If we have a look at the biggest altcoin, Ethereum is doing so bad. Ethereum looks horrible. The chart looks horrible. It is just going down more and more and is underperforming Bitcoin constantly. So Ethereum down 20%, but if we have a look at other altcoins, it does not look so bad. I mean, most of the altcoins are down double digits. Yes, 12% here. BNB doing better than Bitcoin actually. Solana 14%, Dogecoin 13%. And as you can see here, most of them are down double digits, but not 20%. Ethereum is actually one of the worst performers right now in the entire market. So obviously that is one of the reasons why the Bitcoin dominance is going up faster, because the biggest altcoin will have the biggest dominance. If that is going down, Bitcoin dominance will go up much quicker. So hopefully we're not going to break out here to the upside. It is of course possible that we're going to see something like this. I really don't hope that we will see that, but The more likely scenario is that over the next few weeks, we will go back and test this level, which will, of course, be something like this. So that Bitcoin will move down a little bit, Bitcoin dominance, sorry, move down a little bit, and that altcoins will see a bigger relief rally than Bitcoin. So hopefully we will see something like this happening and not a breakout to the upside, because that would be very, very bad news for altcoins. Now, we talked about Ethereum already. I just want to show you, to end this video, I want to show you the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, which is actually complete horror, guys. Look at this. I mean, it is just going parabolic to the downside. We see that it's accelerating to the downside. And since the top of Ethereum here, the Ethereum Bitcoin price, we saw that Ethereum was at nearly 0.09 and currently trading at 0.019. So down 78%. That is insane compared to Bitcoin. This is not versus dollar. This is compared to Bitcoin. 78% down. Now, what I think will happen is that this relief rally, it lines up with the Bitcoin dominance, obviously, and also with the panic in the market right now. I think the level to watch is 0.017. This level right here is the one to watch, because we have like a good historic support here at this level. This was where last cycle, Ethereum started outperforming Bitcoin. So this is a very important level, and it also lines up with the parabola of the Ethereum Bitcoin price that is going down. So basically what I think will happen is a V-shaped recovery here, at least a relief rally. I'm not saying that Ethereum will ever go back to this level right here in 2021, but I think Ethereum will see a V-shaped recovery. So it will go down a little bit more to this level, then break the parabola, and then I think we will see a good relief rally. Where this relief rally will end, we don't know. Could potentially be this level, could be even this level, could be even higher. I mean, this is also a nice level. But yeah, I mean, we don't know yet, because the strength on Ethereum is very, very bad right now. But of course, tables can turn. So the stock market is really looking bad. The financial markets in general are really looking bad. But I think we should pay attention to the assets that are actually outperforming on the sell-off, which is Bitcoin, which is even some altcoins that are down less than stocks in the past 7 days, which is commodities such as gold and so on, silver, that are doing pretty well as well during this sell-off. So these are the ones to watch. But also very important is to see what the central banks will do, what especially the Federal Reserve will do to intervene in this huge sell-off and to try to slow things down and try to fix things. So very bad news, but also a light of hope, especially for cryptocurrencies. All right, that was it for the video. I hope you found it interesting. If so, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, make sure to be subscribed for everything crypto related. And I see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.